We are live again, Thursday mornings, live from Circle Leadership headquarters in the Circle Leadership studio. Today, we are going to talk about how your mind works, or what you could call breaking the glass ceiling, or how you are subconsciously sabotaging your own success, all of the above. We're going to talk about how the power of the brain works in terms of life and business. It's one of the things that's quite interesting when you're working on evolving your business going forward, that we don't often sit there and think about how could I be sabotaging my own success? Like, why would I ever do that? Like, no one in their right conscious mind would sit there and go and sabotage their own success. However, in your subconscious mind, maybe your subconscious mind is actually sabotaging your success. So we're going to cover all that today. Here's the interesting thing. Have you ever seen anyone who's been promoted into a role, and it was almost like they were promoted above what we would perceive from the outside, their abilities or capabilities, only then to watch their rise to fame come into a crashing heap because perhaps they were promoted beyond their abilities? It's quite fascinating. You know, that person may have been promoted because of certain abilities, but their mind or their mind's function, which is to keep you sane, may have sabotaged their success. They showed all the potential in the world, but then when we put them in the position, they ended up actually failing in that position through just not understanding how the mind works. And also perhaps we or whoever promoted that person didn't provide that person with the support. Have you ever seen somebody who's gone from one bad relationship and got out of it and then only to go into another bad relationship? Why does that happen? For me, and I think a post I have coming out today that I wrote the other day is around my golf game. And there's been numerous times when I've played beyond or played outside of myself. I've been playing so good. And then it's like where I want to play, but all of a sudden I allow my subconscious mind to creep in and take over, and it goes based on how I see myself as a golfer and my self-talk at the time. It goes and subconsciously sabotages my game. And all of a sudden I go from being 1 under after 6 holes to end up playing 18 over for the remaining 12 holes. But why does that happen? Why is that happening? It sucks. So all these sort of things can happen to us, and it can happen in business. You know, we've talked about this with business owners, leaders before, is, and this is why we work with leaders to help them to evolve and stay relevant, so they can actually go first, so the team can go further. Because if you don't evolve yourself as a leader to make space and capacity for your team to move along, what happens is you get this with your team, where your team hit a glass ceiling in the organization, which is you, and they go, well, I'm not going to be able to get anywhere here, so they leave. Or worst case scenario, the business gets bigger than the business owner or leader, and then ends up coming and crashing down on them. And that's because we've been holding ourselves back from who we're capable of becoming. Now, at Circle Leadership and through myself as well, we believe in the infinite capacity of all of us as human beings. But in order to have that infinite capacity, we must steadily and progressively increase our capabilities. So this is why it's so important to understand how your mind works. We really need to get a clear understanding of what's going on in there. So I want to talk about mindsets first, and then I'm going to jump into, I'll jump on the whiteboard and we'll do a little quick example of how your mind works. And then I want to show you a real simple exercise to be able to get anything you want in life, and how our brain plays tricks on us when we do that. So let's get started. First thing, mindsets. And I did a great live stream a few weeks back, probably, it might even be last week, with Trish Walker from Lotus Consulting and Coaching, and we were talking about mindset. And one of the things I want to remind people about that is, having a mindset, whatever your mindset is, growth mindset, fixed mindset, whatever. The problem with a mindset is that it is a mindset. Once your mind is set on something, it tends to what we call locks onto something. It locks everything else out. So if you have a growth mindset, you're so focused on growing, you're so focused on being more for more, you're not going to see the opportunities to evolve and increase your capabilities, because you're just trying to increase your capacity, which means you're just going to be focused on getting more people in, more resources in, to be able to serve more people. which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but over a long-term period of time, it's a definitely a bad thing, because you can grow into obscurity, irrelevance, and or grow out of business, which many organizations have. So this is why, like, your mind is really cool, because when you lock it onto something, that's really great. So you can stay focused and everything like that, but then you lock out everything else. When you want to get in that phase, what are your decision-making filters that you have to allow you either to stay into that, but not to discard what everything's out or be distracted by everything else that's going on around you? One of the things we do with the leaders we work with is help them set up their decision-making filters so they can focus on what gives them traction and understand how to distill everything else that is a distraction. So that they can be locked on, but not lock out at the same time, because if something else could come along that could be more important or more valuable, but at least you have decision-making filters so you can make a value-based decision on, is this more important than the things I should be doing? So we have a way to challenge the mindset. But just remember that the problem with the mindset is that it is a mindset. It's set on something, which is good and can also work against you. The other thing I want to talk about then is really to understand why that happens and how our brain works. So let's switch over to the whiteboard here. I want to just go on to this. So if you look at the human brain, and the human brain is actually the most significant computer ever made. And I would say that they fashioned the computer based on the human brain itself. So as you look at this here, there's three parts, and please understand this is some basic psychology and basic on how your brain works that I was taught way back in the mid-90s. It still holds true today. But as anything we do at Circle Leadership, it's just if you can really embrace the fundamentals here. I'm not a trained psychologist. I'm not a psychotherapist. So please take this for what it is. It's just some fundamental understanding or explanation so that we can look at what could be possibly holding us back from achieving the success that we want. We did talk a lot about last week about your self-image and how you see yourself in comfort zones and expanding and pushing your comfort zones. But this week I wanted to take another layer further and just show you some of this, I guess what we would call the science that's happening behind there. So the way I was demonstrated to me is that I have three parts to my brain. There's the conscious mind, right? So we have the conscious brain. Just get some color going here. So we have our conscious, whoops. We have, try to be too technical. So we have our conscious brain. This is where we perceive and receive all information. We have our subconscious brain, where everything is stored in our hard drive. So this is kind of like our hard drive. This is where everything is stored. And this is where everything is received. Right? So if you look at a hard drive or a computer, you're stored as your is your hard drive, and then your RAM or your open memory is your conscious, and your stored memory is your subconscious. There's this also other thing here, which is called your creative subconscious. Now, this creative subconscious here, this thing's function this is the part of my brain that works to keep me sane. Because one of the core functions of the human brain is to keep you sane, is to always move you to the dominant picture that you have of yourself, to make sure that you stay sane in everything that you're doing. And then when the people who are insane, their creative subconscious is in conflict and it can't help make the pictures match. All right. So it's really important to understand that. So this creative subconscious will traditionally move me towards whatever is stored here. No matter what I see coming this way, it will move me towards that. Now, here's the thing. So, well, that kind of sucks. And we sit there and go, well, if I see myself being -1 after 6 holes out in the real world here, my subconscious brain goes, hey, that doesn't match the picture that we hold of ourselves of who we are as a golfer. My creative subconscious kicks in and sabotages and so it goes, you know what? We're going to sabotage that and make things not work for you. And that's what happened to me when I was playing golf. But then once again, when I realized it, I was able to go back and pick up where I was going. I could see how I allowed these thoughts to slip into my mind. And it was just my creative subconscious kicking in and sending in these little silent assassins to play with my brain, to cause my body then to act out in accordance with how it should be, to bring me back to make my picture match here. Well, that sucks. Every time I want to go and achieve something successful or another layer of success in my life, is that going to happen? When I get promoted and I see all this other stuff out there, my subconscious brain goes, well, because last week, as we talked about, that picture of me is stored in here. Every time I go to step out, it's going to go, sorry, Dave, that doesn't match the picture we have of you, does not compute. fail, go back to being who you are. Well, that's kind of a bit unfair. So here's how you can do it. The other part of your brain you need to understand, and this is why visualization and affirmation, or in today's fancy words, the people tell you that neurological hacks, whatever you want to call it, uh, is that your brain does not know the difference between what's real or perceived. So you ever had a dream where you just, you sit there and you have this vivid dream that was so real that when you woke up, you didn't know even where you were. It's like for a second, you're like, it just felt so real because your mind does not know the difference between what's real or perceived. This is why when we watch a movie, or, we get engrossed in something, we get emotionally connected to it because our brain is processing as if it's actually happening to us. There's this really cool technique that you can use, which is called flick back and flick up, where you can flick back into a past time. And if you reflect on when, if you're feeling down and, or unhappy in life, you can change your mood state instantly. What you have to do is go back into your mind and just close your eyes and start to visualize a time in your life when things were great. How you felt, who you were with, what noises, sounds, smells, whatever it was that were around at that time. And your mind will start to visualize that, because we see pictures in our brains. We'll start to visualize that moment. And then your whole physiology will start to feel like it's back in that moment again. And you can then change your whole state by instantly just going back and flicking back to a time in here when everything was awesome, and take that and bring it back out into wherever you are today. The same thing, though, you can work in reverse. So if I really want to see myself as a great golfer, as we talked about before, I would need then to, I need to shift this picture or make this picture even bigger that I have of myself. So that's why I have to, with repetition, consistently, by design, this looks a little bit messy as it always does when I whiteboard, by design, identify how I want to see myself, because this picture I have in here, stored in here, got in there through the same process. It wasn't just automatically, it just appeared. It was through default and circumstance of my life and everything like that, the people's opinions that I valued and perspectives and things that I took in, that I allowed my subconscious to start to store this picture of myself. So no different to when you open up a Word file and you start working on a Word file, and you open up a Word document, right? And then you type on it, and then you save it to the hard drive. And then guess what? You can open up again, edit it, amend it, and then resave it. It resaves it as the new document, right? Or as the updated version of itself. So we're able to do the exact same thing with our mind. You have to do is choose what you want the inputs to be. Okay. Well, there's the highlighter. You just have to be able to choose what you want as the inputs by design, what you want inputs, and then start to use the same process that created the existing subconscious stored image of yourself to then start putting in the new one that you would like to have of yourself. Okay. And then what your creative subconscious will do is it'll start to go, oh crap, this is the dominant picture now. And it'll start giving you all the energy to make your pictures match again. So this does the creative subconscious, it doesn't have biases. It doesn't go, well, this picture is better than that picture. It just wants to understand which is the dominant picture. And this is why spaced repetition to condition a new way of thinking. So if you want to be the leader that you want to be, you want to see the business that you want to have, you want to see yourself leading the business, you want to see the team you want to have. This is why we work with people. We talk about, creating a narrative and a story for the organization, because with repetition, that narrative and story helps everyone to see what it will look like. And then your creative subconscious goes, oh, that seems to be the dominant picture you're talking about. Let's give you the energy to make that one that's stored here in the computer. Okay, now I appreciate that might be a little bit messy there on the whiteboard, but really want people to understand that we have the power to shift the picture that we hold in ourselves. And one last simple example to describe this is if I had an elastic band or a rubber band, if I held the rubber band out, there's no energy in it while it just hangs there, right? But if I take that rubber band and I go and I stretch it, and I stretch that rubber band out, now there's a lot of energy in that rubber band. So the rubber band is, if you imagine it, is kind of like the creative subconscious. And its job is to move me to the dominant picture, give me all the energy and resources and everything that I need to move me to the dominant picture. So if my left hand here is the dominant picture I currently hold of myself, and then I go, hang on a second, but I see myself here, this is the things I want to have. You ever heard the expression energy flows where intention goes? Well, this is why, because your creative subconscious will kick in and give you the energy you need to move you to the dominant picture. But if I keep focusing back on my left finger here, which is actually where I was or how I saw myself or how I currently see myself, I'm going to start not paying attention to this, and not all that energy that's in that elastic band is going to fly this way and sometimes go even further past from where it was. But then the same concept can apply when I stretch that out and I go, hang on, no, it's like me to be this. This is how I see myself. It's like me to hit the ball pure. I always roll the ball close to the hole. It's like me to whatever my thought patterns are. And all of a sudden, when my intention is over here, all of a sudden all that energy then starts to flow this way and then helps me accelerate past. Because I have those functions in my brain. So as I receive and perceive information, it compares it to my subconscious drive, and it goes, hey, Dave, those pictures don't match. Great, here's some energy to make the pictures match. But if I want the picture to be more than what's already in there, then I need to use the process that got that picture in there to put a new picture in there to make a new dominant picture. I need to go and update the file, save it, update the file, save it, update the file, save it, to go and store a new picture in my hard drive. So then my creative subconscious will kick in and go, hey, this picture you're imprinting here is the dominant picture. And all of a sudden I have the energy to get up and go for a walk. Then I have the energy to go work out. I have the energy to go this, because my creative subconscious is kicking in and saying, based on your dominant picture, Dave, this is who you are. This is what you'd be doing. Here's all the energy to go do it. You ever seen those people who just seem to have so much energy and able to get things done? It's because their mindset is kicking in terms of that, the mind function is kicking in to give them the energy they need to do to make their pictures match. It's quite funny when people go look in a mirror and you go, gosh, I look fat, I look horrible, I look terrible. And then, I don't want to look fat, I don't want to look horrible, I don't want to look terrible. But then you go sit on the couch and order a pizza. Because that's the picture you're reaffirming that picture in your mind that your subconscious holds, and your creative subconscious goes, hey, if you're fat and lazy and stuff like that, let's go sit on the couch and order a pizza, because that makes the pictures match. Right? The problem is when we do this, and we use this understanding of this, how your mind works for you or against you, it takes time to shift and save a new dominant picture in your subconscious mind, which is why most people get started, but then they don't finish it. They don't see it through, because they don't want to sit there and do the affirmations. They don't want to do the visualizations. They just want the success. They don't want to do the work to get to the success. But let me assure you, even if it was default and circumstance, when it happens to us, it's just happening to us. But when we choose to actually make it happen for us, it takes work. You're going to have to do the affirmation. You're going to have to write things down every day. You're going to have to visualize and close your eyes and meditate and do whatever you have to do to get your brain to work for you. Because if it doesn't, it'll work against you. And it's your choice. It can be hard when you want to go after the success you'd like to have in life. It can be hard to sit there and go, why am I not getting the success I want in life? My challenge to you is choose your heart. Is it hard watching everyone else or other people achieve what you always wanted to achieve? Or is it hard to go and get the things that you want? Both are going to be hard to handle. You choose your heart. So we talked about how a mindset, right? Be mindful of when you're locking onto something, which can be awesome, but know that you're locking out stuff. Create some decision-making filters for you that allow you to go, this is the stuff that gives me traction. How do I discern what gives me distraction without compromising the fact that there could be something more important than what I'm working on right now that I wouldn't normally see because I'm so locked onto what I'm doing. Then we understand how your mind works. You have the subconscious, the conscious, and the creative subconscious, which is the energy to make those pictures match. You receive and perceive information through the conscious mind. It's stored in your subconscious mind. How do you choose then to, and if you're okay with the picture it is, please understand, then that's all right. But if you want to shift that picture, it's a process. It's the same process that helped you create the picture that you need to use to put a new picture in. If you want the business you've always wanted to have, you want to be the leader you've always wanted to be, you want to be whatever it is, the best spouse, partner, brother, family, sister, I don't care, whatever it is that you want to be in your life, and that it doesn't match how you feel about yourself right now or how you see yourself right now, then you're going to have to do the work to get there, right? And intention, energy flows where intention goes. So when you make it the intention, then you have to, the intention isn't just a one-time thing. It's going to take repetition to make it happen for you. Otherwise, you'll go back to automatic pilot, the program scheduled. Let's return to the previously scheduled programs, and we go back to those things. Okay? These are our choices. If you want any help with this, if people want to talk a bit further about this, Or if you'd like to get the model there and be able to look through this and go, well, what is my subconscious mind think about me? What are the things that I perceive and receive? How can I use that creative subconscious to kick in? If you just put hashtag MindWorks in the notes, we'll make sure that we get you the template. We have a template and a tool that explains kind of all the functions of the brain that we can send to you, that you can have, and you can take a look at it yourself. You can rewatch this video and then go through it yourself as well. Other than that, thank you so much for your time and attention this morning. It's a really important thing because you can always want everything you want in life, but if you're not understanding how your brain's working for you or against you in the process of that, you're going to go crazy. So please remember, if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a new result. Be a victor and have things work. Have your brain work for you, not a victim and have your brain work against you. Right? Until next week, look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Love to get any feedback or thoughts on this. If anyone else has any other examples or stuff like that, please don't hesitate to share and put hashtag MindWorks, and we'll get you that template for you to use.